in less than a minute, you're in. After you get into FlipGrid, the very first thing it's going to ask you to do is create a grid. What's a grid? A grid is your classroom or your learning community. I actually will very often do different grids for different classes. So let's say you're a grade 9 teacher in math, but you teach algebra, a couple sections, and you do some traditional geometry, anything like that. You may want to make a grid for each of your separate classes to keep those communities separate so they still feel like they're engaging with one another. So how do you create a grid? Just click this red button once you get logged in called Add New Grid. And the best way to actually do this later is we are recording this video. So you may want to watch this for big overview now, but then try it later, rewatch the video, stop, pause, play again, and do this as we talk a second time. Hey, let's click Add New Grid. And I usually identify which class this is. So for right now, I'm going to be grade 4, and I am teaching social studies, guys. So this is my class, and I'm going to put that I am the teacher, Miss Hoisington, so everybody knows what's going on. Or you can name it really kind of fun too. Sometimes you could call this the the secret world of Miss Hoisington, or have fun with the name here. So you could go off on the grid. You now have 3 kinds of grids that you can make, and this is required. You could require that the students use their email to join, but it's up to what grade level and do the students even know their emails. So I often use this one for more privacy and ease. It's called Student ID. That's where we saw that grade 7 students weren't identified for privacy's sake, even though this is totally a closed environment. But when I click Student ID, I can now hit Next, but before I do, I want to show you that you can customize your grid to your name. So if it's not taken yet, if not, you can get a little more interesting. So I could call my grid Hoy or Hoy 33. And that way it'll be easy for the students to find where my grid is for that class. So best practices, definitely rename this so it's easier to find where you're posting. Let's go ahead and click Next. Because we picked Student ID on the last screen, we just need some way to identify. I'm just going to call these grade 4 students, and my ID is New Brunswick. And every single student could use that one, or you could have one per student that you make anonymous, however you want to roll with this. Or you can use student initials. So it's up to where you feel on that privacy, but please, please, please check with your school, your principal, and see what the policy, but this would be the more private way to do things. Let's click Next, and I'm ready to launch my grid. Woohoo! So now I could include this grid anywhere I want to have this discussion. So I could copy this into Microsoft Teams, Google Classroom, wherever, and even on a private website. So if I click Share to Microsoft Teams, it would actually open up my Microsoft Teams and say, do you want to create an assignment or share to one of your channels? And if you've already joined us before, those 2 things will make sense to you. Another way is to copy it and put it in manually at another time. So let me just hold that, click copy, we'll use it soon. Now let's go to our grid. Now, so far we don't have a prompt, we just have a classroom. So now we want to create some prompts so that people are able to decide what we're talking about, what's the assignment, what are we putting the video about. So an example would be something like Window on Your World, where the students would all maybe just take a quick video out their front window so we can kind of see each other's world. But again, don't forget privacy, so that might not fit for every class in every location. Or they could do something like videotape their favorite stuffed animal if they're younger. If they're older, they could videotape whatever would describe them in their world. So we could get really very open, but we want to be also to be able to focus and make really well-designed prompts to get perspective. I am teaching some high school students this summer, and we are doing a crowdsourced perspective on different world issues each week. So we're talking about Black Lives Matter. We're talking about what's happening in the COVID, but of course these are older students. So it's based on the prompt for the grade level. Hey, let me stop for a second and let's find out if there are any questions yet, Blaze.
Nope, so far so good.
All right. Hey, Blaze, what's your favorite way to use FlipGrid? Just curious.
Yeah, so I mean, I do a lot of work with Minecraft Education Edition,
Yeah.
and so I'm a big fan of, sharing builds with students and vice versa. So, Minecraft's, for anyone that's not familiar, you almost have like digital Lego, and there's lots of open-ended learning. So I love being able to work and collaborate with students and have them collaborate with one another, and then they can share their work through FlipGrid.
Yeah, I love that. What a great example. So we want to use FlipGrid and share this video because it really empowers student voice. And the word empower means that the student gets to share and reflect on their own values, their opinions, their beliefs, their perspectives, and cultural backgrounds, as long as we're being sensitive to others. So definitely always bring up, we are a community, we lift each other up, no one is a failure, and we always want to keep things in a positive sense. So let me give you an idea. Let's start math, because I know math can be a little challenging, even though it's my favorite. I was trying to teach my grandson some elementary fractions, and here's the FlipGrid that I helped with his class. Check it out. So the students had to then get Legos or something like it. They could even make their own out of paper. And what they were required to do is shoot a video, not shooting at their face, but at their representation of what 3/4, 1/2, adding fractions together, some of the problems that we gave in the FlipGrid prompt. So don't think the video always has to be face, if you would. To me, I've taught for a lot of years, and I always feel that in a face-to-face class, you only hear certain voices a lot, right? You have 2 or 3 students who kind of hijack most discussions, and that's okay. But you know what? I want to hear everyone's voice, and FlipGrid gives everybody that opportunity. And a lot of times I will listen to everyone's FlipGrid and share some of these FlipGrids in the remote class. It allows me to bring that back row to the front row, if you get my point. So we want you to create a FlipGrid account, and you can sign in with your Google or Microsoft. And when you do, it's just going to ask you a few questions. Like we said, it's just going to say, where are you? What age grade is your learning community? And you'll be ready to go. You'll be able to create your grid, add discussion topics, and then share with your students. We talked about this might be a great way to do things with a student ID to keep things more secure. And I'm just going back through this, so if you watch it over again, it'll make a little more sense to you. Now, I always put a password on my FlipGrids just in case that no one gets in there. They really can't, but just in case, they would have to have that class password. So now let me talk about some of the details of how we can specialize our grid and our topic. So I'm going to go back into my FlipGrid right here. And now that I have my grid, I'm ready to design some topics. Now, once again, grid, classroom, community. Next topic. So I'm going to click Add New Topic right here. And these are my choices. For example, I want to ask students to do a window on their world, just to kind of show me something about their world, and I can explain. For example, video up to 30 seconds, and I'll talk about time in a second, of a window on your world. I would explain this to them a little more in detail here. You can actually have 1,000 words. So if you want to be very descriptive about the assignment itself that you're trying to get across, you have that room. I love that. Or copy and paste it from maybe assignment that you already have ready to rock. Now, recording time. This is interesting. You can have as short as 15 seconds, and you would think 15 seconds would be the easy one. I think not. I think it's really hard sometimes to describe what I want in a succinct short time. So it really makes them put their thoughts together, eh? But we could go as long as 10 minutes. Now, typically don't recommend 10 minutes. I think it's a little too long, especially for younger grades. But if you're doing research and big projects, maybe even as a group, that make more sense. They actually can have several students who don't live anywhere close to each other could combine the video to do a project together, and that might take 5-10 minutes. So again, your call. I'm going to just set mine to 30 seconds. Now, here's a personal preference, but I think you might want to include it. Do I want video moderation? This means that new videos will be hidden from the students until you activate them. I'm going to turn that on for possibly 2 different reasons. One, if I wanted to use FlipGrid and get people's voice about how they're emotionally feeling, obviously I will never share that openly to all the other class. So it's just a one-on-one with me, really. A second reason is, let's face it, if we just allow students to post videos without any moderation, there's going to be that one student. Does everyone know that? Nod with me. I know you do. That one student that, well, at least we have video evidence for the principal if needed. I hate to say it that way, but this might give you that opportunity to kind of look a couple of those over. You probably know what students might be wanting to do something a little inappropriate. Now, down here, we can then either just create the topic and be ready to rock, or you may want to record a video to help the students understand what you expect. If I'm doing a window on the world, shouldn't I show the window on my world first? So you can click record a video here. And in this video, I'm not going to be able to show you the whole item because I'm on camera with you already. But I would be able to record not just through my camera on my device, but the new feature in here is that I can now record my screen, which is pretty cool. So if I want to record how to do something on a website or how to do something in Minecraft, right, Blaze? Wouldn't that be cool?
It would be. I think I didn't even know that was available yet, so that's awesome.
Yeah, and you can upload an existing video. What I often do is, let's say I'm trying to let them know a new term. I'm teaching my summer students about virtual reality in one of my technology classes. So I've been posting YouTubes right here by clicking this button and putting the link, and I will have them watch the YouTube or Vimeo video and then give me what they think about it or more information, and I could write exactly what I want them to explain about that video. And I think video is a great way of digital curation to kind of see what's going on in the world. We could upload an image, we could do anything here. So I'm going to create this topic, and again, I get the FlipGrid, but this time, this is not to my entire grid, just this one topic. And I have to tell you, I think this would be a better use of just this one topic, although they may want to go to your grid with your easy to use link, and then at that point, pick which assignment are they doing. So another way is to click on this QR code. Now, here's the cool thing. You don't need a QR code reader anymore on your smartphones. You can just open the camera and it will pick up that website. So that might be an easy way if you're live and you're presenting, right?